Good morning, my dear students of class 9. We are now starting with a new chapter, that is chapter number 6. The topic of the chapter is heat and energy, and the council has greatly reduced the syllabus from this chapter. You need to just learn about a few things which I will be covering in this class. Okay? If you look at the chapter in your book, it is divided into 3 parts, A, B and C. From A, the chapter remains intact, but from B, the entire portion B has been eradicated from the syllabus, and from C, a large amount of syllabus has been reduced. Okay, so I will be dealing with whatever is left out in the syllabus with you all. It is not a new concept to you, heat and energy. Okay, if I ask you to define heat, you will be easily be defining it as heat. It is a form of energy which gives us the sensation of hotness or coldness. Yes or no? If you have heat around you, you will feel hot. If you give out heat to the surroundings, you will feel cold. If you absorb heat from the surroundings, you feel cold. So, it is nothing but a form of energy. Okay? Now, from the book, the definition is, it is a form of energy that is transferred between two bodies at two different temperatures when kept in contact. Yes or no? If you keep a block of ice on a table, the ice will start melting. It is melting because it is absorbing the heat energy from the surroundings. So, isn't heat getting transferred from the surroundings to the ice? Yes, isn't it? Likewise, in winter you feel cold, it is because you give out your body's heat to the surroundings. So, whenever you have got two bodies in contact, and if the two bodies are at different temperatures, there is always a transfer of a form of energy, and that form of energy is called heat. What is the unit of heat? That means in which units do we express the quantity heat? Okay? The SI unit of heat is the same as the SI unit of energy. The SI unit of heat is joule, abbreviated as capital J. It is named after a scientist. Okay, and the CGS unit of heat is erg. Now, these two are related to each other, and what is the relation? Statement: 1 joule is equal to 10 to the power 7 erg. That means 10 to the power 7 ergs make equal to 1 joule. So, joule is a very huge amount of heat. Practically, we measure heat in another unit. The unit of heat that we use in practical day-to-day life is calorie. Okay, and how is this calorie related to the SI unit of heat? 1 calorie, it is a bigger unit than joule. It is equal to 4.186 joule, or nearly 1 calorie is equal to 4.2 joules. So, if I ask you which one is a bigger unit, joule or calorie, from the expression it is evident that calorie is bigger than joule. Okay, 4.2 joules make 1 calorie. That is the unit of heat. Alright. Now, to know the amount of heat contained in a body, to have an idea of how much heat is contained in a body, you need to have an idea about one more physical quantity, and that is temperature. So, temperature gives you an account of heat contained by a body, but these two are not the same. Temperature is just a degree of hotness or coldness. So, if the temperature is high, it means the body is hot. That means the amount of heat contained in the body is more. If the temperature is low, the amount of heat contained by the body will be low. So, temperature is defined as, it is a quantity which indicates the thermal state of body. That means whether a body is hot or cold. So, it gives you the degree of hotness or coldness of a body. It also determines the direction of flow of heat when two bodies at different temperatures are kept in contact. Suppose you have a body at 0 degree Celsius, say ice, which is kept in contact with another body which is at 50 degree Celsius. Naturally there will be a flow of heat, okay, and these two temperatures will decide in which direction will the heat flow. Will it flow from 0 to 50 or will it flow from 50 to 0? It obviously flows from 50 to 0 degree Celsius. Suppose another case, you have 25 degree Celsius and another body is at 10 degree Celsius. Now what will be the direction of flow of heat here? It will be from a higher temperature to a lower temperature. So temperature will give you the direction of flow of heat between two bodies whenever two bodies at different temperatures are brought in contact with each other. Okay, coming to another definition of temperature which you might be having in your notes. Temperature also gives you an account of the total average kinetic and potential energy contained by the molecules, possessed by the molecules. You know, whenever you must have done matter in class 8, it is composed of many atoms, molecules. Yes, now these are randomly vibrating in their own position, and if you supply some heat, they will start moving randomly. Now when they move, they possess a form of energy called kinetic energy. The average value of kinetic energy is also defined as temperature. That is one more definition of temperature for you. Now coming to the units of temperature, the SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. Again named after a scientist, so the symbol will be capital K, okay, but the common practical unit of temperature is Celsius, and Celsius and Kelvin are related in this manner. If you have a temperature at T, okay, if you want to convert this into, if you have a temperature in degree Celsius given to you, if you want to express that temperature in Kelvin, you just have to add the number 273, okay, with the value you have in degree Celsius. Suppose you have 25 degree Celsius to be converted into Kelvin. So what is this value in Kelvin? It is nothing but 273 plus 25 Kelvin. That is the meaning of this expression here, and the value is 273 plus 25, 298 Kelvin. So equivalent temperature of 25 degree Celsius in Kelvin is 298 Kelvin. That is how you convert degree Celsius into Kelvin. Okay. There is one more unit of temperature that we use in day-to-day life when you are measuring your temperature while you fever. The thermometer shows the temperature in Fahrenheit, isn't it? You see 98.4 Fahrenheit written there. Now that is one more unit in which you measure the temperature, and how you convert Celsius into Fahrenheit and vice versa. The formula is C by 5 is equal to F minus 32 by 9. This is how you convert Celsius into Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit into Celsius, okay, using the formula C by 5 is equal to F minus 32 by 9. If I give you a temperature in Fahrenheit and ask you to convert into Celsius, how do you do it? Suppose, okay, the Celsius value of temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. I want you to convert this into Fahrenheit. So how are you going to do it? In place of C, you are putting 40 by 5, apply it in the formula F minus 32 divided by 9. You can solve it, okay. After solving, doing all the cross multiplication, you will get a value of temperature in Fahrenheit, okay. So that is how you convert Celsius into Fahrenheit. So these are the three units of temperature that you need to know. The first one is Kelvin, the second one is degree Celsius, and the third one is Fahrenheit. I hope it is clear. So that is all about heat and temperature. Now suppose you have any matter, say solid, liquid or gas, and there is a rapid change in temperature of that one. Okay, that means you supply a lot of heat to that particular matter given to you. Now what will happen to that particular matter, say a liquid, you start boiling water, isn't it? You are supplying heat to the water. Now will the water remain as it is or will it expand a bit? It will expand a bit, isn't it? That is called thermal expansion, because expansion in that state of matter is taking place because of heat. Okay, so the next topic in this chapter is thermal expansion. It is nothing but expansion in a substance when heat is supplied to the substance. Okay. So the expansion of a substance on heating is called thermal expansion of that substance, and it is obvious that out of the three states of matter, solid, liquid and gas, solid expands the least because the intermolecular space is very less. They don't have much space to move away from each other, so they don't expand that much. Liquids expand moderately and gases expand the more. This much of gas on supply of heat will be coming up to a very huge volume. So what happens to the volume of the substance on heating? The volume of the substance will increase on heating. At the same time, the density of the substance will decrease on heating. Okay, this is common to almost all the substances in the universe except one, and that very special substance which shows a very special behavior is water. Very common substance shows uncommon behavior, and the behavior, that uncommon behavior of water when heat is applied to it is called anomalous expansion of water. Anomalous means it shows certain unusual behavior while it is expanding. Alright, let's see what happens to water. All the substances expand on heating. That means suppose you have a normal substance which shows normal behavior. If it expands on heating, it should contract on cooling, right? So I am taking this 10 degrees Celsius substance. It is not water right now. To 0 degrees Celsius. Can you tell me what happens to this one? Will it expand or will it contract? Naturally, temperature is decreasing, so this substance has to contract. But water, what happens is, from 10 till there is an intermediate temperature between 10 and 0. The very special temperature for water is 4 degrees Celsius. 10 to 4, no problem, it will contract. That means even if we heat from 4 degrees Celsius water to 10 degrees Celsius water, it will expand. From 10 to 4, it will contract. Now what do you think will happen to water when it is cooled from 4 degrees Celsius to 0? It has to contract, right? If it is contracting like this, it has same direction, it has to contract, but no, it does not contract, it will expand. Till here it is contracting. That means volume is decreasing, density is increasing, and if you come from 4 degrees Celsius to 10 degrees Celsius or any higher temperature, it is expanding. Okay, and here while it is going from 4 to 0 also it is expanding. So this unusual behavior of water, okay, in which the water expands whether it is cooled or heated beyond 4 degrees Celsius. You heat it from 4 to 10, it will expand. You cool it from 4 to 0, it will again expand. This unusual behavior is called anomalous expansion of water. Now this anomalous expansion of water is shown by two graphs here. First one is the graph showing variation of volume of water with respect to temperature. So with the help of this graph, let us see what happens to the volume of water when you increase the temperature. Okay, now the two axes of the graph, x and y. In the x axis, we will be plotting the temperature 0, 2 degrees Celsius, 3 degrees Celsius, 4 degrees Celsius, 5 degrees Celsius, 6 degrees Celsius. Okay, or sorry, we can take a larger range, 0 to I can take 4, 6, 8, like this I can fit it till 10, right? Then the volume I will start with, at 0 the volume of water is 0.9999 centimeter cube. At, okay, the next one is 1.0000 centimeter cube. Next will be 1.0001, next will be 1.0002 and so on. Okay. Now if you plot the graph, I will just mark the temperature for right here because it is the temperature at which the volume becomes minimum. So water expands like this. Now what has happened? From 0 to 4, the volume is decreasing. Yes, at 4 degrees Celsius, the volume has reached its minimum point, after which the volume is again increasing. So this proves that the volume of water is minimum at which temperature? It is minimum at 4 degrees Celsius. Alright, I can plot the graph in a different way. Instead of showing the variation of volume, I can show you the density of water with respect to temperature. Now, this will remain the same. Of course, the nature of the graph will be different, and my y-axis, the values will be 0.9996, next 0.9997, and finally on topmost the value will be 1.0000. So I have taken the density range from 0.9996 gram per centimeter cube till 1 gram per centimeter cube, and let's see what happens here. It is just the opposite. It looks like this. Again, I will be taking a line from 4, and the density keeps on increasing till 4 degrees Celsius, and after crossing the 4 degrees Celsius mark, the density will keep on decreasing. So what does this graph prove? It proves that the density of water is maximum at which temperature again? 4 degrees Celsius. So here you have to take two things into mind, that water expands whether you cool it or heat it beyond 4 degrees Celsius, and the volume becomes minimum at 4 degrees Celsius and the density becomes maximum at the same temperature, that is 4 degrees Celsius. That is anomalous expansion of water, which was proved by the scientist T.C. Hope in the year 1805 experimentally, and he took an apparatus to prove this anomalous expansion of water, taking a very simple setup, okay, and the name of the apparatus is Hope's apparatus. Now I will be explaining to you this experiment, that is Hope's experiment, to prove or demonstrate the anomalous expansion of water. Pause. So this is the apparatus that the scientist T.C. Hope used to demonstrate the anomalous expansion of water. This is called Hope's apparatus, okay. The apparatus was just a container in which he took water at room temperature, say that room temperature was 15 degrees Celsius, okay. Then in the middle he just put a trough in which he put some freezing mixture whose temperature will be maintained at 0 degrees Celsius throughout. What this freezing mixture does is it will cool down the temperature around the surface of the trough, alright. Now initially when the time interval was the experiment was just started, this T1, T2 are the two thermometers which will show you the temperature of the upper part and the lower part of this container. Initially, what do you think would have happened? It was not able to cool this one very rapidly. So, the temperature of T1 and T2 were almost the same. That means both the thermometers were showing the same temperature, that is the room temperature, because the cooling process has not yet been started. Now, after some time, this was the first observation. So, initially both the thermometers show the same temperature, that is room temperature, okay. After some time, it was seen that this lower part, this lower thermometer showed a temperature equal to 4 degrees Celsius. The reason behind this T2 showing 4 degrees Celsius was that now the water has started to cool down below the room temperature. Yes. Now after it cools down, the colder molecules are more dense and so they will settle down. So they will try to come down. They will come down and settle there. Now this vacancy will be filled up by the molecules which are situated here, which was at the room temperature. That means the process of convection takes place here, and after some time the temperature shown by T2 will be 4 degrees Celsius. Now there was no abrupt change in T1 so far. So whatever was happening in the lower part of the container only initially, okay. Now in the third observation, while this continued to be at 4 degrees Celsius, this T1 initially, which was not showing any change at all in the temperature, now it has started to fall rapidly. That means from 15 degrees Celsius, the room temperature, it rapidly falls down to come down to 0 degrees Celsius. So T1 after some time will show 0 degree Celsius. The reason why T1 has become 0 degrees Celsius, it is because of this freezing mixture, alright. But why T2 at 4 and T1 at 0? It should have been just the opposite, right? It should have been at 0 because 0 degrees Celsius is colder, the density should be more, but no. Because of this anomalous expansion of water, the colder molecules sink down, but it is not the coldest water molecules which have got the maximum density. You know, maximum density for water is at 4 degrees Celsius, which is going to come down and settle at the bottom. So the densest molecules are showing the temperature 4 degrees Celsius. It shows that water is not the density of water is not the maximum at 0 degrees Celsius, the density is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius. And after some time, this top part of the container will start freezing, okay, because the density of water at 0 degrees Celsius is less than the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius. So these molecules at 0 degrees Celsius are still on top and they are also freezing, which proves that water expands anomalously, okay. The density of water is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius and the density of ice is less than that of water at 4 degrees Celsius, okay. Now this anomalous expansion of water has got a lot of applications which is also used for aquatic life, okay. In cold countries, the lakes, the water bodies, they start getting frozen from top, isn't it? Now how do the aquatic life survive there, okay? They don't go anywhere else, they can't fly, isn't it? So they have to remain in that water body. So where do they go? They go at the bottom of the pond or the lake where the density of water is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius and they can easily survive at 4 degrees Celsius. Like that, because of anomalous expansion of water in cold countries, the pipes, once the water starts getting frozen, the pipes get burst because the density of ice is more than that of water, and because of density being more, the volume also becomes more and the pipes burst there in cold countries. Okay. So that is all about anomalous expansion of water. Thank you for your attention.